Hello again people, it's Charlie and welcome back to the Chatting Footy Show YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing alright tonight. So then guys, this video is just going to be me talking about the games that have happened in the Premier League over the course of the weekend just gone. We've got some good games and some interesting results to be talking about. So just before I get into that guys, as always, smash that like button, subscribe and let's get into it. So then guys, first game was on Friday night at the Emirates between Arsenal and Everton. Super League's finest, Arsenal, where the game finished 1-0 to Everton. I think it's fair to say that obviously by their own standards Arsenal are not having a great season. I know Arteta's still trying to build a team and it's a project that's going on at the moment, but we'll see how much longer he can actually stay in a job. I understand that it takes time, and to be fair to him, he does have the players on the pitch to do a job, but for some reason it's just not working for him, and they need to pray that they win the Europa League in order to even get a sniff at Champions League or any European football next season. Whether they win the Europa League or not, I'm not too sure. Hopefully for their sakes they do, because otherwise they won't get any European football next season, which will be a shame. As for Everton, a really good result away from home. They've been a bit up and down this season, but hopefully this 3 points that they've got can help them push into trying to get a place in next season's Europa League. A bizarre goal that was scored, it was actually placed into the box from Richarlison, but for some reason Leno just couldn't keep control of the ball and it ends up in the back of the net. So yeah, as I said, a good result for them. And let's hope that Arsenal can do something in the Europa League, otherwise they're not going to have any European football next season, are they? So then guys, on to Saturday's games now, and the first one was at Anfield for the current champions Liverpool playing against Steve Bruce's Newcastle United. A game that finished 1-1. Liverpool's season just gets stranger and stranger. I know they've had their injuries and the fans at Anfield, I've spoken about it in previous videos. But this game especially, I mean, they took the lead through a really good goal from Salah with about 3 or 4 minutes gone, if that. And you thought, right, they're going to push on now. It could be even 4-5, maybe even 6-0, given that Newcastle's side is poor. I know they've been getting results of late, but let's be honest, that team isn't great at all. So yeah, once Salah scored, you expected them to go on and do the job convincingly, but the chances kept coming, and they kept coming and coming, and for some reason they just couldn't put it in the back of the net. The amount of chances, like I watched it on BT, and the amount of chances that Liverpool had to win that game just to kill it off was ridiculous. But Newcastle did play quite well as well. They defended really well, and they had the odd chance themselves. But the game got really interesting in added time at the end, when Callum Wilson scores. You don't think there's going to be any issues with VAR, and then they look at it and they say it's handball. Now, what a joke of a decision that is for me. He hits the ball at Alisson, it bounces off Alisson and it just hits his hand. He's not in an unnatural position. Like, how is that not a goal? Bizarre, like, just another reason for why VAR is just killing this game, especially in this country. It's an absolute joke. But thankfully, they didn't need it, as they did get another chance through Joe Willock, and he actually did score, and it was given, and everything was fine. And that was in the 95th minute to take the points away from Liverpool and have it as a point each. Amazing, really. Like, they're really getting some good results, Newcastle, and I know I said a few weeks back that I expected them to go down, but I'll hold my hands up and say, I was wrong. Steve Bruce seems to be getting good results at the minute. Is that enough to warrant him a new deal to stay as their manager? I'm not too sure. I still think the brand of football isn't great and it can be improved massively, but on the flip side, he is getting good results. He beat West Ham. He's got a draw against Liverpool, a draw against Tottenham recently. So, they are getting the good results. But Liverpool, I mean, they needed this in order to push into the top 4. They've got the likes of West Ham and Chelsea. Spurs potentially, who are in the hunt for that top 4 spot. So who gets it, I don't know, but they didn't do themselves any favours in this one. To the next game, guys, which was at the London Stadium for West Ham against Chelsea, which promised to be a very interesting game in the race for this season's top 4. But it actually turned out to be quite a boring game from what I saw. Had a few chances here and there, but I expected a lot more from both teams, if I'm honest. The game finished 1-0 to Chelsea. Chelsea's biggest flop, Timo Werner, actually managed to find the back of the net, which was amazing for him, because this season just it hasn't worked out for him, let's be honest. You can't really say a good thing about him for me this season. He hasn't been what I expected. I thought he was going to rip up this league from how he played at Leipzig last season, but it just hasn't worked out. But he did miss a howler in true Timo Werner's fashion, so that sounds about right. But the game did have some VAR controversy as well, with the sending off of Balbuena for West Ham. Another joke of a decision, really. I mean, I've seen people that have compared it to Cooper's against Man City, which, yeah, I understand it is similar, but for me, this West Ham one, an absolute joke of a decision. He plays the ball down the line, and as he's kicked the ball, he catches Chilwell on the shin. Now, what has the game come to when you can't even kick the ball? Yes, he catches him. We get it. But you knew as soon as the ref went to that screen that you were going to send him off, and just an absolute joke. I can understand Moyes after the game, frustrated, and if that had been against us, like Cooper's, I can kind of understand now to an extent, because he did look a bit more out of control. But this West Ham player just kicked the ball, and he's hit him on shin, which again, just another reason why VAR is ruining the game. For me, we've been protesting about this Super League shit over the last week. Let's protest about VAR and just get it out of the game. I understand that there is aspects to it that is really good, and it does help out the officials, but the offside rule, the handball rule, this high foot, the red cards and everything that's happening recently, I just need to work on it and improve it drastically, because it really is ruining the game. And the final game of Saturday, guys, was at Bramall Lane for Sheffield United against Brighton. Sheffield United managing to get a 1-0 win over the Seagulls. I never thought I'd say this, but Paul Heckingbottom has actually got 3 points as a Premier League manager. Yes, you've heard that right. Paul Heckingbottom got 3 points in the Premier League. Unbelievable stuff, really. I mean, I know that they're already down, but I didn't think they were going to get a single point. I thought they were going to get battered in every single game and just go down in the worst possible form. It's actually embarrassing from Brighton's point of view, and I'm glad that we're playing them at the weekend. That could come back to bite me on the arse, but after a team's just been beaten by a team that's already down, you can understand why I've got confidence going into that game at the weekend. But a goal from David McGoldrick, who seems to be the only player that can score a goal at Sheffield this season, in a game that looked very, very dull, and I'm really glad that I didn't watch it. Saw the highlights and it looked absolutely awful. But yeah, guess I'm happy for Heckingbottom in a way, because he has had a lot of stick since he's taken this job. A lot of it coming from us Leeds fans, but rightly so. After how he was at Leeds, he was absolutely awful. But yeah, fair play. They got 3 points. To Sunday's fixtures now, guys, and the first one was between Wolves and Burnley. Burnley beating Wolves at Wolves by 4-0. This result shocked me, if I'm honest. I actually expected Burnley to win this one. I just didn't expect it to be as emphatic as what it turned out to be. Goals from Chris Wood, who got a hat-trick, and Westwood, I believe, who got the 4th one. I've said it once, I've said it a few times actually, and I'll say it again. How Wolves have done the double over Leeds this season, I will not know. They are absolutely trash. They are really bad. And it's weird because they've got such good players on that pitch. I know Jimenez is out, and he's their talisman, he's their goal scorer. But it was actually the defence that was quite embarrassing against Burnley. I actually watched most of it. They've got the likes of Cody, England international, at the back, and it's like, even he looked awful, if I'm honest. Just sloppy play in possession, sloppy play at the back. and every chance that they did have, they just couldn't convert. And Burnley just looked like, just proper on it from the get-go. Fair play to them, they've not really got all to fight for. They're not going down, but they're not going to get any higher in the table either. So to see him go out, no pressure, and just play like that was actually really good to see. Happy for Chris Wood as well. I think it was his first hat-trick in the Premier League. Former Leeds United player, there's no hard feelings there. I can understand why he left us at the time. Really good to see him doing well in the Premier League. I just hope he doesn't do that well when we play them in a few weeks. But yeah, fair play to Burnley, and Wolves really need to sort it out. And the next game of Sunday was at Ellen Road for Leeds United against Man United. Scum. That game finished 0-0. I did a post-match reaction to that game after the game on Sunday, so I'll put the link to that video in the description, so go check that out for my overall thoughts on that game. And the final game of Sunday's fixtures, guys, was at Villa Park for Aston Villa against West Brom. The game finished 2-2. Big Sam managing to get a point away from home. West Brom seemed to be finding their feet a little bit. I know that Leicester beat them 3-0 in the previous game, but they've got a couple of good results recently, but for me it's too little too late. They are destined for the drop. I think the bottom three as it stands now will be the same. Sheffield are already down, and then I think obviously be West Brom and Fulham. But a good result away from home, and from a Villa perspective, without Jack Grealish in that side, they do lack that creativity going forward, which is why I think they've been struggling in certain games of late. Hopefully he can come back soon and revitalise them, and hopefully push them on to the end of the season, and hopefully be fit for England in the Euros if Southgate picks him. Goals, there were 2 goals in the first half, which were both penalties. El Ghazi scored Villa's, and I believe it was Pereira who scored West Brom's. And in the second half, West Brom took the lead 2-1 through a Tyrone Mings own goal just after the break. And then the equaliser came from Davis from Aston Villa in the 92nd minute, just to snatch a point at the last breath. Again, an okay result from a Villa perspective. I don't think they're going to get any higher in the league than what they are now, but they're obviously not going down, so they've not really got much to play for. But from a West Brom point of view, I think it is too little too late. But a good result for Big Sam. And the final game of this weekend was played last night at the King Power between Leicester and Crystal Palace. Leicester winning the game by 2-1. They did have an early scare though, did Leicester, as Zaha made it 1-0 to Palace with about 12 or 13 minutes gone. But I'll be honest, I expected Leicester to come back. Palace are Palace, aren't they? They're not quite shit enough to go down, but they're not good enough to really get any higher than where they are in the league. Leicester weren't quite at it in the opening 45, but when they came out in the second half, they really put Palace to the sword. Goals from Castagna, I think you say, or Castagna, and Iheanacho. Iheanacho was involved in both goals, actually assisting the first goal and then scoring the winner. What a player he is at the moment for Leicester. Iheanacho is on absolute smoke at the minute, isn't he? Fair play to him as well. It's really good to see. Didn't quite work out for him at City, obviously, with the squad depth that they've got. But he's really taking his chance at Leicester, and it's really nice to see, because he seems like a really good bloke off the pitch as well. And yeah, as I say, a good result for Leicester, who maintain their place in the top 4. I think they'll stay up there, and rightfully will get Champions League football next season, and that'll be exciting to see how they get on in that as well. Right then guys, that brings us to the end of today's Premier League Roundup show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Just before I sign off properly on this video, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you and a massive shout out to Matt Clark, who is better known as Loomstride on Instagram and Twitter and things like that. He's a freelance graphics designer who's helped me out massively recently by designing my new logo for my channel, which is just up there. And he's also helped me out with YouTube channel art and my Twitter and things like that. Can't thank him enough. He's massively helped me out. If you're ever having a look for a graphics designer, hit him up. I'll put his links to Instagram and Twitter in the description below, so go check him out. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.